company behind this sensor is a competitor to Elon Musk's Neuralink. Musk's company is developing a BCI of its own that aims to help people with paralysis restore some independence to their lives. So how does this all work, and is this the future? Joining us right now is Kurt Hagstrom, Synchron's Chief Commercial Officer. Kurt, great to have you here. So in layman's terms, for non-scientists like myself and our audience, explain how this brain sensor works.
Yeah, essentially it collects the neural signals. When you think of moving, what happens is your brain actually fires signals, and those signals can be captured by the sensors, in our case, our Stentrode BCI. And so those sensors then get translated and decoded that translate into digital actions such as scroll, click, move the cursor. So those are all things that can be done by translating those little signals, electrical signals within the brain.
And then how do you communicate? Do you type something out? How do you do that?
Yeah, so what we're collecting is motor signals, motor intent signals. So it's almost like, using your arms to type on a keyboard or move on a mouse. You use those same intent motions to control the computer. So you're able to use a keyboard using the switch control accessibility functionality on the iPad to be able to type out, send a message, or use a kind of advanced communication tool.
So your company's a competitor to Elon Musk's Neuralink, but you have different procedures from Neuralink in how Synchron implants the sensor. It's a lot less invasive to get your sensor than Neuralink's, right?
Yeah, it's really revolutionized, I think, the approach for implantable computer interfaces, where over the last really 2 decades, brain-computer interfaces have required, including Neuralink, required to remove the skull, which is called the craniotomy, and either place the sensors on the brain or actually in the brain itself. Our founders thought of a different way and a different approach and say, can we take the blood vessels, the pathways that you don't have to open up the skull, to be able to get on top of the brain and listen to the brain without actually touching the brain itself?
So this means, is it like an hour-long procedure to get that thing implanted? Is it that simple?
Believe it or not, it is. And much like the world of cardiology today, where there's millions of stents today put in the coronary arteries, there's tiny little blood vessels within the heart. Those same tiny little blood vessels are actually in your brain, and that's what brings blood to your brain. And so we're using those and capitalizing on those highways to be able to get to the areas of the brain where we can record and create those digital actions.
ALS is a devastating disease. There's no cure for it. It's just terrible. But could this implant help not just people with ALS, but others as well who are paralyzed for some reason?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's actually about 15 million people globally, about 3 million people here in the U.S. That have a limitation, a motor impairment in their upper limbs. So they can't use an iPhone like we can, right? So they can't use a device and a technology that we take for granted, these supercomputers in our pockets anymore. And this is where the benefit will come in of having an implantable BCI for those that maybe had a stroke or spinal cord injury, where again, they lost that function of their upper limbs. It's critical that they have that restored independence and autonomy in that digital world now.
It really has changed Mark Jackson's life. How soon might this be widely available to all those millions of people who have some sort of paralysis?
Yeah, look, this is a class 3 medical device. There's no easy path. We've been at this for 13 years and work in close collaboration with the FDA. And so I don't think this is another 10 years away. I think this is, within the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to be able to see this type of technology for people out in the market.
Wow, 2 or 3 years, probably 2 or 3 weeks would be too long for some of those folks, but that's really incredibly promising. And most exciting of all is the fact that you guys can implant this thing in the brain so simply. Kurt Hagstrom, really fascinating news. Thank you so much.
1 second, they're a neighbor you like. The next,
Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Wadash, double honor to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to you hopeful elect out there. Those of you that believe in his word in truth and in sincerity. Welcome to another update of the MOTB is a CHIP. And we're going to entitle this, within the next 2 or 3 years, you will see this technology a lot more. And Lord willing, sooner than that. Okay. So maybe we can tweak the title. All right. 2 or 3 years, 2 to 3 years or sooner. We'll focus on that. You will see these BCIs a lot more. Okay. Now this is on News Nation. Okay. The video we played for you, as well as this article. Brain-computer interface revolutionizing life for motor impaired. And what we see is Esau Edom performing miracles by way of this technology. Okay. Let's get a few scriptures on that. Dealing with these false miracles that Esau Edom is performing. All right, we're in the book of Revelation, chapter 13. And we're going to begin at verse 14. Revelation chapter 13, verse 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And we're living in the image of the beast. All right, this system, it is an image or replica of the Roman Empire, of the ancient pagan Roman Empire. All right. Now we're going to focus on that word miracles. Now it says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Okay. Which, the beast and its image are synonymous. Okay. Because, the beast in this time is America, NATO, and EU. But you go back to the image. The image stems back to ancient pagan Rome. But once again, this is Rome coming back. All right. And, this image of the beast is resulting in a one world system, a new world order system, where every man, woman, and infant are going to be marked. Okay. Now going back to this word miracles, by the means of those miracles, which he had the power to do in the sight of the beast, that word for miracles,
Strong's G 4592, Semayon.
Semayon, which means a sign, mark, token. All right. And this should make you think of the MOTB. This should make you think of the MOTB because of the technology, the various applications that you can, use this technology for, it may even result in, holograms, and we'll see how far they get with it. But as of right now, people are performing miracles by this technology. able to access the internet, able to text by way of this technology, you know, playing games by way of this technology, you know, and greater miracles than that, being able to actually see again if they're blind, you know, being able to you know, move their fingers, you know, move their hands, if that's a an ability that they lost, okay? Now let's read some more under miracles. Now it says a sign, mark, token, thereby which a person or a thing is distinguished from others and is known. Right, in this case, a thing. You know, the mark is distinguished from others and is known. And this is how you know what the MOTB is. All right. And it's also a high level form of idolatry. You know, this technology is going to be looked at as a new form of salvation because of the miracles that it can perform. All right. Now it says a sign, prodigy, portent, i.e., an unusual occurrence, transcending the common course of nature. Right. Transcending the common course of nature. And this is what we see. Of signs portending remarkable events soon to happen. And just wait and see. You know, we haven't seen anything yet. When this thing is made mandatory, it's truly going to change the earth. You know? But I find it amazing how miracle, it parallels the word mark, you know? Miracle and mark are synonymous. This is how you know what the MOTB is once again, man. Okay, so going back to the scripture, Revelation 13:14, and deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. The MOTB is a part of those miracles. You know? And everyone on the earth are going to be demanded to take this mark, man. Hence the prophecy, Revelation 13:16. We'll read that. Now it says, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. Now there is a difference between the image of the beast and his mark. All right, we're living in the image of the beast. The image is this system, but very soon people are going to be commanded to take that mark. All right. Now it says which had the wound by a sword and did live. Right, because you know Rome went down. Ancient pagan Rome went down, but it came back. And it lives today through this system now that's up and running and functioning, you know? Ancient pagan Rome is living again. It's functioning by way of this beast system today. All right. Verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And it's going to really come to that, you know. This is why people that refuse the mark, they're going to be decapitated. Going back to Revelation 20:4. Okay. It's really going to come to this, man. You know. Ultimately, you worship the image of the beast by taking his mark. All right. And you're going to be threatened with death if you don't take the mark. You know. You know, and to break this down in this context, when you really get into this, we see that you have a lot of countries that that may not bow to Esau Edom. They don't want to have a central bank, etc. They don't want to be a part of this westernized world. So what Esau Edom would do, he will set up a coup and, ultimately overthrow these different, countries, overthrow their government, and set up puppet leaders. So we see this happening, now. But ultimately, what's going to happen is in the future, well, let's read verse 16. Verse 16. And he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And this is that great reset. Okay? This what is all coming to. And you have that one saying, all roads lead to Rome. Well, in this sense, all roads lead to the mark. Okay? And going back to this article, they stressed that within the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see this a whole lot more. And Lord willing, it won't take that long. Because scriptures say that the time is being shortened. Okay? Now let's read this, man. A father from Pennsylvania who has ALS is the first person in the world to control an iPad entirely with his mind. Now, what is ALS? For those that may not know. What is ALS? ALS is a fatal nervous system disease. Only 5 to 10% of cases are linked to family history. Most patients die within 3 to 5 years. Right, you got this damn devil right here, Stephen Hawkins. The Lord took him out. He had ALS, And that's a hell of a disease, man. That's a hell of a disease. ALS, or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, is a fatal nervous system disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord and gets progressively worse over time. Yeah, that's hell, man. So people with ALS are going to be the poster people for the mark. All right. So it's going to begin with, people that have these very great ailments, such as ALS, people with these dire diseases are going to be the first ones to get the mark, Now it says Mark Jackson, who was diagnosed with the disease in 2021, lost the ability to use his arms. ALS is known to affect nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord, resulting in those cells gradually breaking down and dying, leading to worsening muscle weakness. While there is no cure for ALS, Synchron, a neurotech company, has given Jackson a new lease on life. The 65-year-old received the brain-computer interface from the company, which can help people with paralysis by translating their thoughts into action. Right? And he's not going to be the only one, Hey, this is only the beginning. This is a class 3 medical device, said Kurt Hagstrom, Synchron's chief commercial officer, in a Tuesday appearance on Elizabeth Vargas Reports. There's no easy path. We've been at this for 13 years in close collaboration with the FDA. So I don't think this is another 10 years away. It's not going to take that long. In other words, within the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to be able to see this type of technology for people out in the market. Beginning with those with these dire diseases, such as ALS, but ultimately it's going to be available for everyone so that the prophecy can be fulfilled. BCI collects neural signals from patients. Hagstrom says a brain-computer interface works in the same way the brain fires signals. When you think of moving, what happens is your brain actually fires signals. Hagstrom explained. Those can be captured by the sensors. Those sensors then get translated and decoded that translate into digital actions such as scroll, click, move the cursor. Yeah, so in other words, your brain is the computer. You know? You're the computer. Okay? Those are all things that can be done by translating those electrical signals within the brain. And what's going to make this so catchy, the work that you see over there at Synchron, is that it's less invasive. It's not as invasive as Neuralink's BCI. Okay? Read a little bit more of this. Synchron is a direct competitor to Elon Musk's Neuralink, which is developing its own interface that aims to help people with paralysis restore some independence. Hagstrom feels Synchron's sensor and procedure are less invasive. And by that alone, it's going to sell more, you know? But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it on this. You know, we played the video for you. All right. The MOTB is at the door, man. You know? It's at the door. I pray that this video was edifying. All right. I want to say, Call Halayim La, Allahayanawa, Abanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak Wadash, double honor. To our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and bless to you, hopeful elect out there. Shalom.